So when you fly around the Earth at 400 kilometers, you have a very unique point of view that is at the same time a privilege and a curse. It is a privilege because, of course, not many people get to do it. Not many people get to fly in space and look down at the Earth. It is a curse because what you see is at the same time so beautiful and so fragile that it certainly breaks your heart. And it is what inspired me to start talking about what happened, what is happening on planet Earth, and about everything that we take for granted today. And as a matter of fact, that same feeling of helplessness and desire to do something, I felt in these last couple of days, talking to the scientists, talking to the explorers, and being myself part of the group on this glacier and looking with my eyes, touching with my hands, the same things that I felt from space. So if I had to summarize the feelings, which is always hard because feelings don't come in a linear way, they're always very mixed up. I feel a little bit of urgency, and because it's me, I also feel hope that people will listen and understand the urgency of what is happening and how fast we have to react before everything that we have will disappear. I believe that science is all connected. We have this habit as humans to separate science into small bits. We have chemistry, we have physics, and we have math, and we have physiology and biology. But in reality, this is just a limitation of the human mind. So in a way, I have the deepest conviction that all the science that we perform is connected to the Earth and to Earth preservation and to the ameliorment of our life. However, some of the experiments that we did were even more directly linked to pollution and carbon emission. One experiment I performed in 2013, it was about biological fuels. The idea was to find ways to mix certain fuels that are biological, they're not fossil fuels, and the idea was to combine them in a way that would create the minimum amount of emissions. Now that was an experiment. You would say, why would you want to perform it in orbit? Well, in orbit it's easier to control the physics of the flame because we don't have to deal with the gravitational effect, and so the flames are perfectly spherical, and they're just easier to control and to study. So that was one experiment. But in the end, everything we do on the space station is connected because, for example, all our electrical production comes from the sun. We recently installed new batteries that are better performing, that have better accumulators, and so we can translate the technology on the Earth by using batteries and accumulators that are better performing. That space station is a technological testbed. We use solar array for the production, we use newer batteries, and recently we installed new solar arrays that are a newer technology that can improve our solar energy production. As a matter of fact, my classmate Thomas Pesquet performed that installation himself. Other things that we do is recycling. On the space station, everything is very expensive because we have to import it from the ground. So water, which is very heavy, needs to be recycled. And on the space station, for 20 years, we've been recycling about 90 to 93% of our water. And now we have a new system that actually let us extract even more water from the waste of human physiology. So even another step into trying to preserve what we have. Finally, we have to preserve our oxygen and our atmosphere. So all our system to scrub the atmosphere and regenerate it is also technology that we can use on the ground. So I would say that in terms of science and technology and its link to exploration, we actually know a lot about what we can do to create better conditions on the ground, to pollute less, and to be better at carbon emissions. Every year, around July or August, there is one day that is indicated by scientists where we reach the resources available to humanity for the year, which means that the rest of the year we are just going to exploit resources that we don't have. We are stealing them from our future, but not only our own, but the ones of the generations that are yet to come. So preservation and conservation should be something on everybody's mind all the time. I believe that there is an awareness that is growing, but is not enough yet. So water being probably one of the resources that we really need to check, and we are here because of that. Water as a cycle that we have interfered with. Ice turns into water, turns into atmospheric water, and it accelerates hurricanes, it accelerates flooding, it's all connected, and we have interfered with that cycle. So now we have to do something to take a step back. Well, one of the things that we can do is preservation without pollution. So little steps that everybody can do. Have a bottle of water and reuse it instead of continuing buying extra new bottles of water and polluting the earth with the plastic and using extra water that we don't need. We can live on very little water. We are just not used to do it because we don't think about it, and we take it for granted. I believe that the perspective that I have comes from the awareness that on the space station we live on very limited resources. We have to recycle them, and we have to respect that awareness. On the ground, people take things for granted, and we are just not at the stage in our life where we cannot take those resources for granted. We have to make an effort to understand what we're using, how we're using it, and what we can do to make a better use of the resources that we have. Well, these are strange times for expertise, experience, and specialization. Because of the availability of information that we are constantly bombarded with, there is a general feeling that we can all be experts at everything and come up with our own opinion. I don't want to dismiss anybody's opinion, but I do want to listen to what experts and people who have devoted their lives to a certain study have to say. Now, it's a cycle. We have scientists who use their instruments to gather data, study those data, and come out with a theory. And once they come out with a theory and everybody agrees to it, then we should probably listen to that. But how do they get these instruments? How do they gather that data? Well, there is a whole community of people, technicians, engineers, astronauts, operators, that work constantly, incessantly to create the instruments and to position them and to create the basis so that the data can be collected in the correct way. My job as an astronaut, for example, is to install, execute the experiments and make sure that the data is collected in the most perfect way so that it's not polluted. The same way, we have satellites that are built, sent to orbit, positioned, and calibrated so that they provide the correct data. All of this data needs expertise to be interpreted, and that's why it is so important to create a network where everybody has access to this data, everybody can analyze, and everybody can contribute to the conversation. But at this point in our lives, there is no discussion about what is happening with the data, with the expertise, with the quality. There is absolute agreement on what we are reading and what it is, and the only disagreement is on the what to do, because those are political choices. So from the point of view of an operator, because that's what I am as an astronaut, I personally think that it is a matter of respect. It's a matter of respect for the scientists that gather the data, interpret them, and come up with the theories, for the technicians and for the engineers that create the instruments, and for all the support personnel that make it happen. So I hope that these kind of conversations, like what we're doing here, can create the awareness of how much intelligence, how much work, and how much care there is into gathering every single piece of data so that we can come up with a science that is solid and really transmits the truth of what is happening and how we interpret the world that surrounds us.